Thank you. Good afternoon. I was thinking the other time, is it Bonswa? Is it yet Bonswa? Oh, good, good. I was waiting for it to be Bonswa. Thank you. So my presentation is really about, it's kind of a discussion of how we can move rock art to the locales. And I think from the presentations that have already been done, probably a lot that is related to what I'm going to say has already been done. So I'm quite impressed with what is already happening. But I hope I'll add a few things to that. So I'm talking about presenting to the locals for many reasons. You can see I tried to put in a lot of rock art just to show the French that we have a lot more than they do. No, thank you. So my discussion really is about locals, and it kind of is fed with what we have already been talking about. The locals that I'm looking at are people who, who are, what can I say? I'm looking for a politically correct term to use. But normal people who are walking in the streets of Harare, for example, of Windhoek. And I wonder, we should all wonder, and probably we all know that most of these normal people do not really get to the museum. Yes, we are talking about the museum, but they don't really get to the museums. And in most cases, they don't really go to the rock art sites. So how do we get to them? This is my question. How do we really take the rock art to the people, not by saying I'm presenting it in the museum, because most likely they don't go there. The statistics, somebody presented the statistics the other day and showed that very few people get to the museum. And worse, in Africa, in my country, Zimbabwe, where the museum, we have just been talking about the concept of a museum and how it is Western, European, and how it is really, most people, the normal people, don't relate to it, to say that, today I'm going to the museum. So I think this is a reality that we all have, and how then do we get to those people? Because the survival of the art, as well as the point of conserving the art is really to get to the people that I'm talking about, the locals. Let's call them the locals. So I'm saying that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. When you are an archaeologist like myself, I don't know how someone cannot appreciate rock art. Can you? How? But that is the fact of the matter. Other people, they appreciate it, but they don't get it the way we do as academics who have studied rock art. And unfortunately, most of our museums are full of academics who have studied rock art, and they really appreciate rock art, and they really understand this. But these are not the people that we need to get to at the end of the day, because they are converted. So we need to get to get to understand this beauty from their point of view. I think we need to get the beauty from the point of view of the locals who should get this. So that's why the last presenter talked about innovation, and I was really impressed. I was talking about other things, but the presentation really impressed me in the ways in which they try to really get to people, especially about going online, because I think that is quite innovative. So it's about innovation. Somebody said to me, there are many, many different definitions of innovation. This is not one of them, but I like it. Somebody said to me that if somebody is willing to buy something, to take their €1 and buy it, that is their expression of value. So for me, it really got to me that if we make something out of rock art and sell it on the road, will people buy it? Until we can make people buy that, that is when we have gotten to them. So I think it's a way of tuning ourselves to the extent that we need to see how we value. This is why yesterday I was asking about value, because if the French government is willing to pay 752 for a site, that is the value that they are putting on the site. So for me, it's not about money, but it's the expression of value. So I'll talk about that later. So innovation, we need to, innovation is throwing down what we have and moving away, throwing down the walls. Because for academics, especially of my age, I told you I'm older than I look. So, we are really, usually we have a lot of walls that we have built around, and you say, how can we let people touch the archaeological object? That is not allowed. It reminds me of the fact that in Southern Africa and I still saw others who probably still practice this, and we talked about it earlier on, that when we record sites, we then, when we publish, we remove the GPS coordinates, because we are protecting the sites. We are just lying to ourselves. The sites are out there. People have cameras that have GPSs. They get there, they take the photos, they upload them online, and they are there online. And but because we think we are really protecting. Anyway, that's something else that I have done before. And of course, I found the sites that I thought I was the only one who knew online and all over. But that's digressing. So, these are my people. These are the people that I'm talking about. Obviously, not everyone, because I didn't put myself or my kind there. I also didn't put the Aarons, the yes. So it's a bigger group, but this is an example of the people that we are supposed to target. And I can tell you, if it's not in the, if they are not coming as a school group, you probably will not see them in the museum. So how do we get to these people? How do I point? Which one do I press? On the top.
No, this one.
Ah, okay, all right. I also wanted to do this. Some of you know what I mean. Tinder, you know. Okay, so these are the people that we want. These are the people that you see on the hashtags. And these ones, they are reading out there, and these ones, and these ones, and the beauty queens, and everyone. So how do we get to this with rock art? If we are not getting to these people, then probably we need to innovate, because this is what justifies what we do, that we are preserving for future generation, but this is the future. So I am using this title, I mean these tags, or do I call them hashtags? Because I probably should digress a little bit and say, I was, as I said, I was a very big academic and so forth, believing that, yes, I shouldn't publish. If you look at my publications, I don't have any coordinates and so forth and so on. But in Zimbabwe, what happened in 2018, apart from the politics, is that we changed our curriculum, our invest curriculum. We adopted what we call Education 5.0. And Education 5.0 is a system that tries to revamp the university. And believe you me, professors and doctors went very much against it, because it demanded that the academia must do the three things that they are always known for: teaching, researching, and community service. But they should add two more things: innovation and industrialization. Meaning that whatever you research and you get results on, and you publish in the high impact journal, you should make sure that it is turned into a product or a service that other people out there will use out of academia. Because that is how we then should justify our existence. It's a very tough stance that our government took, and for the last 5 years we have been implementing it. At first we were very much against it. The lucky thing is that the young people that I have grew up in the system, and they are very well, they are quite comfortable in it. But us Madalas, we were struggling. But what did it do to the system? It changed our mindsets in that we cannot just publish and say we are professors. when no one out there, you cannot go out there and say, my research that I have done has impacted this person. That is what the education system wants. They want you to say, I researched this and then I impacted that. So I was kind of lucky enough to be moved to research, to be one of the people to drive that system. So for you to be able to do that, you need to think in the mind of a product developer. If you are developing a product, you are not developing a product for yourself. You are producing the product for the market. And that is very tough for us academics to grasp, because in most cases, the product that we produce, that the market wants, is not the one that we have or that we want to make. So you will find that when we make our product in the museum, we make our product, maybe it's the exhibition. And when people don't want it, we are very frustrated and we say, oh, people don't want to come to the museum because it's the wrong product. So what do we need to do? We need to think about the right product for the market. And these are the customers. So what is our value proposition? I'm in the product development mode. What is our value proposition with rock art? In Africa, that's where I know most. There are two things that our market wants. In Africa, there is economics. Where is the money? In Ndebele Makumalo, they say, imali yako na ingapi? Yes. Where is the money? Everyone is chasing a dollar. In my system, there is no comfort. Everyone is chasing a dollar. If somebody can make money out of it, they are in. Okay? So that's economics, the first thing. The second thing is identity. Because of our very special history, colonial history, in Africa we have a huge issue about identity, about so what are we selling as heritage practitioners? We are selling a product to make people comfortable in their identity. Because in Africa, because of the history, we have a very bad relationship with our identity, especially the target market that we are dealing with. As you can see, most of these are struggling with identity issues. To be in, you should look Western, but at the same time, you are not Western. You have that. There is nothing that is going to change. You are not Western. So what our job as heritage practitioners is to come and stabilize this target market, to say it's okay to be what you are. So this is what we are selling. Okay. Economics. So what it means is these people should see the economic benefit of heritage. Plus, they should benefit from the issues of identity. They should be stabilized. And those, I think, are the two things that we should sell to them. And when we innovate, we then need to do that. So the product is rock art That is the unique component of our art. We have a very good product, I think, because why is this a good product? Because it's unique. A product on the market, for it to work, I have worked with many people doing product development. The first thing is that you have to be unique. And of course, with the art, we are unique. We are guaranteed uniqueness. But that does not win you. You have to make it in such a way that the usability is good. So our products are usable. Yes, I laughed yesterday when he was talking about how the exhibition was supposed to be a pilgrimage and it must be hard. Unfortunately, nobody wants to buy that product, especially in my target market. So obviously, we may think that it should look hardened so that you can be fulfilled at the end, but that is not the product they are going to buy. So we need to a product that is usable. And of course, our resources are very low. So this is where innovation comes in. How do we make a product that is usable, but that is affordable? Okay, so that's the product development approach. We have to break down the walls. It's not possible for us to make a product that appeals to the market on our own. That is one thing that I have learned over the 5 years. It's impossible, but because we are usually in our silos, I am the doyen, I know these things. No, that is not going to be sellable. So we need to be multidisciplinary. I was thinking that we need to elate it. Aaron, you said elate? The lady who helped you. So we need to elate our product development. Bring in other people who know how to reach to these people. We don't, on our own, we don't know how to reach to them. So we need to really work with everyone else. We need to research the process, test it to the potential customers, improve it, roll it out to the market with the knowledge that we still need to improve it. It's never a perfect product. And of course, this is the other thing. From our discussions, you can see like what Aaron was saying, they had a very vibrant product, and then 4 years later, it's taken off the market. That's normal in product. So yes, that it did very well after 10 years. That is actually very normal. So we shouldn't be frustrated. But what we need to do is to continue to reinvent so that we are always there at the forefront and providing what the people want. So it's always in the system start over again. Okay. What are the potential problems? This obviously is a lot of problems. The first one, our heritage is spirituality. It's not a potential, I said potential challenge. It's not a problem. It's a challenge. Because spirituality, there is obviously the issues that we have already talked about, that others will say, why are you doing this with my heritage and blah, blah, blah. But it's also a potential to tap into the spirituality. So, yeah, that works. But the major issue that we are going to have with innovation is IP issues. We have already seen this. Intellectual property issues. Most of us don't know intellectual property issues. So sometimes what we say we think is intellectual property is actually not, yet in other cases we are infringing it without knowing. So I wrote 2 papers I'm going to show you where I discuss the challenges, potential challenges of the 21st century in heritage management. And I think IP issues will be probably the #1 challenge of the 21st century. Amanda just talked about how people take photographs in the museum, and then it's on the internet, and now with the 3D printing, tomorrow they will have exactly the same thing that you do. So as heritage practitioners, I think I had some young people looking for topics to research. IP in heritage management is going to be a big issue. How do we deal with IP? And of course, authenticity and integrity, especially authenticity. How do we make sure that people who have innovated, it remains authentic? But it's not just a challenge, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for heritage managers to think about ways of which we can authenticate things going forward, even on the digital platform, and so on. So obviously, and of course, conflict with change. This is something that we are going to have problems. Is it right that somebody is printing my artifact in 3D? Is that right? Obviously, that's us, the Madalas, who are out there. Anyway, those are some of the challenges. These are the 2 papers. If you are not going to read any of my work, you should read these 2. So this one is open access, but it discusses the decolonial issues of decoloniality. But for me, why I think I would say read it, is because it talks about heritage, the changing perspectives of heritage. In the past, the heritage was just past, and then now it's called a pillar of development. So in Africa, people have to make money from heritage, which some will not be able to grasp, but we have to make money. If we don't make money with heritage, heritage is in trouble, because people are not going to invest their time and energy in it. So we have to find ways of people making money, and so on. Then the other one is this one. This one is not open access. It's in a book edited by Webandoro and George Abungu. But I think it's a paper that looks at I wrote it about 3-4 years ago, but I can already see the issues that I kind of predicted to be the issues of authenticity, issues of IP, that will define the next decade or 2 in heritage management. So you may check them out. But otherwise, these, I think, are points to ponder from my experience in France. Issues of private ownership. I think there's something there. Private ownership or private utilization, because the manner in which people who protect the heritage if they are getting money out of it, is quite different from our system where the government owns everything and they are preventing everyone from using it, and nobody's going to invest any energy in it. So I think we can learn something from it and hopefully learn the good and learn the bad and avoid the bad. Okay. And also the way in which you can actually transfer the ownership to someone else. I think there is something that we can learn from Africa there, because really our heritage, we have a lot of rock art sites, but they are usually in disarray because nobody is caring about them because of this. So I think we can learn something from there. And I also think that they have built a good brand. With marketing, you have to build a brand. And I think we can learn something from the branding that the French have done. Thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Ancila. Is there any questions for Ancila?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ancila, for a wonderful presentation. Don't you think maybe when you talk about innovation, don't you think that maybe it's time that heritage, I'm not sure here in France how they do things, but I've noticed that in Southern Africa, heritage and tourism are sort of treated differently. And most of the tourism sites, that's where our heritage is. And I'm saying this because I've seen the target market that you're talking about. They do visit as tourists, right? The tourism site, the local celebrities that we know, they do visit the tourist site, and they do get to those, the rock art sites, and then they have a tour guide who is not as good at storytelling as the French would be with the outline and whatnot. It's just like, oh, this is the rock art done by ancient people, and that's it, you know? And the target market just, okay, nice, and then let me go to a spa, you know? So I think maybe it's time that heritage work hand in glove with tourism and also with museums, and not isolate these entities or these departments. Maybe we should, it's something that we should try to foster. And that's where the innovation and the economy would grow, because the entities that are supposedly have to deal with heritage and tourism are mostly focusing a lot on the tourism side of things and neglecting the heritage side of things. And we as museum practitioners, we have to now enhance the heritage side of things. You see, and when we bring those things to them, it's a bit of a challenge. So how do you, what are your suggestions that we are actually, I'm not talking on the French, I don't know how the French government deals with tourism and heritage. I'm mostly talking on the Southern African, because that's what I've noticed happening. What is your suggestion that the government of Southern Africa actually sees the importance of these two working as they're supposed to be working together?
Okay, thank you very much. I take that as an addition to my presentation rather than as a question, because I think it's fantastic. Because, yeah, it's almost all Southern Africa, except Lesotho. I think that's where you have heritage in the tourism ministry. I think they did. But all across Southern Africa, you find heritage and tourism. But first of all, I don't want to bring government into this because that is how most of us hide from the issues, because somebody has to deal with it. I mean, as a museum, what's stopping you from roping in a celebrity and they come and dance in front of the museum, of a rock art site, and it will get 100 clicks? I mean, 1 million, 100 million clicks. I mean, what's stopping you? Because if we say government, we say, it has to be policy, blah, blah, blah. But it is also us, which we need to break down those walls that we have built on ourselves, in Southern Africa especially, because we are there in the museum and they are there in tourism and they are doing their own thing, and you are saying, because we are government, different government departments. So I think we can also take a part and bring in, now, Amadala, I don't know any celebrity. Davido. And they come and then make something that is that shows that maybe you can do a challenge. You know, they do challenges on YouTube, and let's do a challenge. A celebrity comes and starts a challenge of naming the rock art sites they know. And before you know it, everyone in every corner of the country, they are naming that kind of thing. That is the innovation I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Mine is a personal question, but I'll ask it publicly. We're talking of innovations, and us as heritage innovators, people have been innovating everywhere, but the innovations are not really booming. We're seeing innovations, South Africa, Namibia, everywhere, but they are not booming. And when you have an innovation, now you have the product. When you try to then disseminate it, you are dealing with the heritage side. Then now there is involvement of the National Museum. Like, you need to talk to the museum because they are the custodians of the sites. And about going with that track, things get slow and you end up get tired and the innovation dies. That's one. Two, you have an innovation, you complete it, and I'll give an example of one of my innovations I had in 2019. It was well accepted. It won an award at the University of Zimbabwe, and it didn't went out to the people, and I can't say it died. I have it, but I don't know how to give it to the people. Can I say, or the question now is are we slow, or should we be patient, or we're not just good when giving people the wrong product?
Okay, I'm afraid to answer this one. This one. But I would say my experience in the last 5 years, not just with archaeologists, but with scientists across the university, because I work with everyone in the university, from medicine, law, and so on. The challenge that we have as scientists is that when we are making products, We want, we love to do that in the lab, whatever lab you have, maybe it's. But the challenge that we have is taking the product to the market. Why do we have that challenge as scientists, as academics, which is why I was talking with Megan that her post is a very critical post that can be useful in research. Why? There are two reasons why the product will remain with you. The first one is that a product, this is why I want to take the product development from a market perspective, from entrepreneurs out there, and put it in the university system. Because out there, let's forget about rock art. Let's look at somebody from Mbare. Mbare is our township. They think of their product there. They want to sell. What do? They make the product and they hustle it around the market, selling it. Now academics, they cannot do that. They can't. It's an inability. Because for a product to be successful, you have to push it yourself, not anyone else. You are supposed to push it. If you can't push it, it will die. There is no question about that. So we cannot, but the other reason is that we are not multidisciplinary. You make the product and you don't know where to go with it, like you rightly admitted. You don't even know where to start because you are working alone. You need to work as a team. The most important person in product development is the marketer who knows where to take the product to. If you don't have somebody that you are working with, this doesn't apply just to an individual. It applies to even institutions, as a museum. You have your good product, as we said, the rock art, but you don't know how to take it to that market that I showed you. If you don't have somebody who knows how to go and talk to David and bring them to, so that is the problem. But for me, the beginning of innovation, you have a product, that is a fantastic thing, because obviously we didn't do that. But what we need then to do is to move forward and learn how to push the product to the right market that we are targeting. So that will be my answer.
Another question? Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you, Ancila, for your presentation. And maybe I will be asking as a Madala without the product innovation background. Yeah. And my question is directed to the presentation and the accessibility of the rock art material specifically. I'm asking this because in your presentation, I got the sense that we want to make this material accessible to everyone, right? Now, my question goes back to, like, within our own discipline as archaeologists, rock art is not accessible to everyone within the archaeology context. And this is also where I think the problem starts, because even as rock art specialists, sometimes I feel like we are not even seen as archaeologists in a way. And we end up working alone in terms of understanding our material and trying to fit into the archaeology with the rest of the group. So my question is based on this grounding, that then what is your position as an archaeologist who wants to make this material accessible to everyone, while we know that this material, even within our context, is a preserve of a few who understand it and who see value in it. And I also ask this because you are talking about learning from the French context, the idea around IP and ownership. And I cringed a bit because I feel like, okay, if we take that approach, then we are making a material that is already inaccessible to a lot, and making it even more elite and even more inaccessible to the general public. So I just wanted to make clear what your position is in terms of this idea of inclusivity and accessibility, but also this idea of ownership, IP, and making this material well protected, conserved, by making it inaccessible. I hope that's clear.
Okay, thank you, Stella. Yes, those are very complex issues that we will always have, because, as you rightly said, we are already we are in a certain silo to begin with, which I think some people before us built the wall of the silo, very good wall of that silo, and it was sealed, and the chosen few were put into the silo. Unfortunately, I was never one of them. So I never got into the silo. Probably that's why I have these strange ideas. But I think that silo mentality, whether we want it or not, it's an outdated thing. Because, especially talking from my country, the rock art is accessible. People are going to the rock art sites and they take photos. And I even know people who own rock art sites and they take tourists to the sites without the knowledge of those in the silo. So I personally think that the silo, no matter what we want, especially from a conservation perspective, because we have this conservation, don't touch and blah, 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 blah. It may work with France and all, but in our context it doesn't, because everyone touches and you are not there anyway at the site. So I think it's something that we may want to keep, but it's not going to hold, especially in the digital platform. So I just want to clarify on the IP issues. What I mean by IP issues is that museums should start thinking about IP with the materials that they have. What is the IP issue surrounding that? Is that their material? How are they going to? Because people are going to be accessing that material and using it in many ways, and some will make billions out of that. And those of us who are holding it will claim it. So the IP issues that are going to arise are very, very complex. If somebody takes a photograph and they 3D it, what IP issues are you going to raise from that? So this is what I'm urging heritage professionals to look into. Yeah, okay. I think I have taken
Thank you,
over.
thank you, Ancila. I'm sorry, but we have not enough time for any question.